Ooh, whatto chaps, I'm Magical Mike. This is an Elementalist leveling build? Question mark. I'll explain in a minute. We're in PvP at the moment because I'm cheap and I don't want to spend my money to respec. But I'm going to go over the build very, very quickly in terms of traits and gear and things, because most of this is going to be me talking about skills and rotations. Now, while this is Guild Wars and there isn't specific rotations to use, this is what people want to know about when playing an Ellie. So, Arcana is, or Arcana, however you want to pronounce this, probably Arcana, is probably the most important trait line as an Ellie. I've never messed with fire, I've kind of touched earth, and I've touched a little bit of air and water, but Arcana is important. So your first 10 points want to go into here, for, where is it, Elemental Attunement. Your first 5 points give you 2 seconds of Fury on attunement swap, so that's just a bit of extra crit chance, that's good. You also get boon duration, and your attunements recharge faster. That's nice. So Elemental Attunement, when you attune to different things, you and nearby allies, that's important, gain might, regen, swiftness or protection depending on which attunement you pop into. So right now I'm in air attunement. If I pop into earth I get a bit of protection, and I get some fury as well. Protection lasts for quite a while. Might lasts for 15 seconds. Regen lasts for 5 seconds. It depends what you're doing really, but you get some important boons here. Fury is an important boon. Swiftness is important when you're leveling because you need to run around fast. Regen and protection are incredibly important when you're leveling, because access to those boons is really handy, actually. So, your next 10 points probably want to go into water magic. Now, there are a couple of choices here. Cantrips grant you regen and vigour, that's pretty handy. And Cleansing Wave is also quite handy, but early levels you don't need that much condition removal. So, cantrips giving you regen and vigour, pretty useful. Cantrips are things like Mist Form, Lightning Flash, Armour of Earth, really good spells to have, and if you're leveling, pick those up as fast as possible because they're really handy. However, I should also mention that Arcane Shield is also another super handy skill. Blocks 5 attacks, and... no, 3 attacks, sorry. Blocks 3 attacks, can be really handy to get something like a Churning Earth off, which takes time to cast. So the next 10 points are really up to you. For me, I was thinking I needed more kind of toughness, more security, so I went 10 points into Earth for Earth's Embrace, which gives me Armour of Earth when I reach 50% health. Armour of Earth gives you stability, which is really helpful. It's basically a free stun break, and protection as well. So that's kind of good. So you can do that, or you could go Elemental Shielding if you're going Dagger and you've got a few auras. But I went Earth's Embrace. Those are my next 10 points. So this was level 40. Going up into level 50, I kinda needed more condition removal, so I popped into water, and I went into Cleansing Wave, which gives you condition removal when you attune to water, so that's pretty good. And you heal whenever you do that as well, that's also very good. Moving on, next 10 points, I would swap this between Vigorous Scepter, which gives you faster endurance regen, more dodges, more survivability. If you're using a staff, you go Blasting Staff, which gives you bigger radius on your staff attacks. Or you can pop in, where is it? Where are you? I'm losing it. Renewing Stamina. This is my trait of choice. The achievement bonuses lingering for 5 seconds is kind of handy. Like for example, this water achievement stuff. You get this heal, Soothing Mist on you. If I pop into air achievement, I still have Soothing Mist on me, even though I'm not in water achievement. So it's pretty handy, but not a huge deal. Renewing Stamina though, you can pretty much have permanent vigour as long as you're critting fairly often, which with this build you should be a certain amount. So for your last 20 points, you should be able to unlock this next set of traits here. At this point, you buy your next book and you reset your traits, so you put these back in. At this point, this is your 40, so you've got 10 more points. These 10 points are going straight into Evasive Arcana, because this trait is incredible. It creates an attunement-based spell on the end of your dodge roll, based on what attunement you're in. Most of the time you're going to be using Churning Earth, and you're going to be using the water dodges as well. This minor trait doesn't make any difference, doesn't matter. Evasive Arcana, incredibly powerful skill, and I'll show you why in a short while. The water traits are going to be your next 10, so you can go aura sharing, so that's pretty handy, or cleansing water. This is a powerful trait because it synergizes with previous water traits that we've got and other stuff. So this removes a condition when granting regen to yourself or an ally, and with Soothing Disruption, every time you use a cantrip, you also remove conditions. So that's pretty good. You also you deal 2% more damage for each boon on you, and with this build you're going to be packed with boons constantly. Now for the last 10 points, it's up to you. If you're feeling like you need more defense, you can put that earth trait back in, but for me, I much prefer Zephyr's boon. Auras grant fury and swiftness when applied. So, if you're in Dagger, his shocking aura, you gain quite a long time with fury and swiftness. I can English, yes. Basically, this build's centered around being able to move around the map really quickly and being able to be fairly defensive and do whatever you need to do. A lot of movement-based stuff. So now I'm going to pop into Lion's Arch and go to the training dummies and show you what you can do with this. Okay, so we're now in Lion's Arch at the practice dummies, because what I'm going to tell you here is pretty much just, it's important to learn what you're doing and why you're doing it, instead of just spamming skills and hoping things work. Ellie is a fairly complex class, and depending on how you play it, it can be more or less complex than, I don't know, something else like an engineer or a warrior. So you can choose to play Staff. Staff, I haven't used Staff for a long time. Staff is the slowest of all the damaging types that you've got. You've got a lot of AoE in Staff, so you've got bouncing things like this. You can't even see it bouncing. If I maybe attack this dummy, you'll be able to see it. There you go. You've got things like that. You've got combo fields, you've got swiftness, you can blast in skill 5 to give more swiftness, that also stuns. You've got a lot of control in Staff, you've got a lot of damage, you can do things like meteor showers, like I said, AoE, and if you're using Staff you'll want to swap this trait here, not that one. Renewing Stamina, you want to swap that for Blasting Staff. You've also got a lot of heals in Staff, so you can use the Geyser there, the Geyser, I always get that wrong. You can use that, Healing Rain, you can blast in that for more heals, you can leap in it. Is that a leap? No, that's just an evade. You can leap in it for more heals. You've got the Ice Field for even more. I wish my guy would stop attacking here. My guy, whatever. You've got blast finishes like Eruption. You've got a lot of just control abilities with the Staff. And if you want to play the Staff, go ahead. It's a much slower weapon, and there's a lot more combo fields and things like that associated with it. For me, I played a lot with Scepter Dagger. A Scepter Dagger I consider to be the sort of mediumly intense button pressing weapon set, if you can understand me here. You've got the benefits of the dagger in the offhand from Ride the Lightning to be able to give that movement here, and you've got the lightning flash, by the way. Use that for movement. Use the fiery greatsword for movement as well. You can use the glyph of elementals if you need an ally, but the fiery greatsword's just super handy, and I'll explain why in a bit. You've got all the benefits of the dagger in the offhand, and you have range, so I can move really far back. I've got 900 range with this. Be able to do that. You can't quite see the graphic for some reason, but you know. Now the reason why Scepter Dagger is good for leveling is because of that range. It gives you that that safety. And while I was leveling, I was using a lot of berserker gear, so I was squishy, and you should expect to be as well, unless you're finding toughness stuff. Now I've got a lot of toughness. You can see there I'm at almost 1500 toughness. I do a fair bit of damage. I've got some nice crit damage, blah blah blah, all that stuff. But while you're leveling, you're going to be squishy, and you're going to want that range. You're going to appreciate it. If you're attacking structures such as the practice dummy, where you can't use crits, try using water, because this attack, it's fairly quick, and it hits structures quite hard, considerably. If you consider it as something like the fire, it's a slow attack. Most of the damage comes from the burn, and that obviously isn't going to affect things like practice dummies and things like that. Air, you've got your blind, you've got your damage. Air's a fairly interesting achievement, but most of your AoE damage is going to come from earth and fire. Strange really, because earth is usually your defensive achievement. Stop attacking, jeez. Again, if you're using earth against structures, it's not going to be that good. If you're building condition damage, you're probably doing something wrong, but you can if you want to, because you've got the bleeding, you've got the burns in fire. So, when it comes down to it, you are looking at this video for probably your rotations. And like I said at the start, rotations aren't set in stone, but there are certain things that you can do. So you can start out a fight by going in air and, you know, spamming your two skills. These two, Blinding Flash and Lightning Strike, are instant and they don't interrupt what you're doing. You can then ride the lightning towards something and updraft, which will knock it back. Then you'd swap into fire, you'd get some might and fury, and you wouldn't be auto-attacking at this point. Now here's where most of the damage comes in, and where Evasive Arcana comes into play as well. So what I'm going to do is try and explain this as I do it. Well, I'll explain it first actually. The first thing you want to cast is Dragon's Tooth. This takes a couple of seconds to land and it doesn't track your enemy, so you need to be able to, which is why you started out with lightning to get up close. So you'd be probably stood right about here. You start out with Dragon's Tooth, that does a lot of damage. You'll then put Ring of Fire down and follow up with a Phoenix. You'll want to aim, Phoenix is a ground targeted skill, so you want to aim Phoenix slightly behind your enemy so it hits them as it's going through them, explodes behind them and hits them, and then comes back and hits them again. At this point the Dragon's Tooth is going to land. These are going to cause 2 blast finishes within your Ring of Fire, and then you can use Fire Grab to finish that off. Then you're going to swap into Earth and dodge forwards or backwards depending on where the enemy is in relation to you. Then you're going to hit Skill 4 in Earth, which I'm forgetting the name of, and then Skill 5. All this is going to give you a crap ton of might, and it's going to do a lot of damage as well. So I'm going to try and pull that off. So first things first, you'll have rid the lightning into them, updrafted them, and your enemy should be down on the ground. So I'm going to quickly do that, blast finishes, swap into Earth, do that, churning Earth, and there should be 16 stacks of might there. 15 because one fell off. There you go, 15 stacks of might. That's a lot of extra damage. That power's gone up to 2300. That's an increase of almost 600 power there just from that stack, that large stack of might. And because you got so much boon duration from your traits, that's going to last quite a while. You just need to get used to swapping between your skills pretty quick and being able to do all that stuff. Also, something interesting with Churning Earth, if I swap back into Fire. If you feel like you're going to get interrupted with Churning Earth, you can use Armour of Earth while you're casting it, to make sure you don't because of the stability. You can also use Lightning Flash while you're channeling the Churning Earth to move the target around, because obviously you're rooted in place. And you can also swap into any other achievement while you're in Churning Earth as well, to do other stuff. But the most interesting thing about Churning Earth is this. If I put the Ring of Fire down, and then wait for it to go down, start the Churning Earth, the Ring of Fire is now gone, but you still get the might. Also, if you were to Lightning Flash away from the Ring of Fire while you were doing the Churning Earth, you would still get that might stack. So 3 stacks of might actually. You would still get that. As long as you start those Churning Earths in that Ring of Fire, you will get those might stacks, and that's important to know. Also, I'm just going to wait for this recharge to pop in. so that I can show you can lightning flash and you can swap into water and you can put auras on to give you some more defense. So I'll start the churning earth, swap into there, move around, do the aura. You can do a lot of stuff. Water is your defensive tree. You're probably never going to want to be in water very much. Shatterstone, ground targeted again. Put some vulnerability on. It's okay. It's not a fantastic skill, but the most important thing you'll be doing in water is healing yourself with the Water Trident. Just aim it at yourself. It's quite a big heal, 1700 for me. And Cleansing Wave also removes conditions. Another big heal. Not as big. Is it as big? No, it's not as big as Water Trident, and it's on a longer cooldown, so be aware of that. And if you dodge in water, you get another Cleansing Wave. So that's a lot of condition removal. Very, very powerful stuff. So now that we're out of combat, I will show you the daggers. Dagger rotation is also fairly similar. A lot of your auto attacks are going to come from Lightning Whip. Lightning Whip, as you can see right here, hits quite a large cone now. It never used to hit such a big cone, but it does now. Good. And you're going to start up in there. You're going to put your aura on, ride the lightning, updraft, swap into fire. At this point, you're not going to auto attack too much. You're only going to be auto attacking in air attunement while you're waiting for other spells to come off cooldown. So when you updrafted, you popped backwards a bit. You want to get back into combat with the burning speed. And then, depending on situations, you either want a Drake's Breath or Ring of Fire. At this point, if you Drake's Breathed, you'll then Fire Grab to do the huge damages. Does more damage if people are on fire, and at that point you want a Ring of Fire and do the exact same thing as you did before. So you can Earthquake, Churning Earth, and do all the damage. You get all the might stacks, things like that. You can also use skill 2 if you like, and root them in place with a Magnetic Grasp. There's also, with Magnetic Grasp, you can leap. That turns into a leap finisher, which you can do in Ring of Fire to stop attacking. Not to stop attacking. You can do it in Ring of Fire or through your Burning Speed wall to give yourself a Fire Aura. And every time you get hit when you have a Fire Aura on, you get a stack of might. Pretty handy stuff. It's good to know. Water in Dagger is more defensive than it is in Scepter, but less healing. You have the Cone of Cold. Does a fair bit of damage. You don't want to get hit by that if you're in PvP or whatever. It's not the most damaging skill out there, but it does quite a lot of healing over time. You've also got Frozen Burst, which is a chill, powerful control ability. You've got your Frost Aura, which gives some nice stuff there. And, of course, you've got Cleansing Wave, things like that. That's essentially it. So the rotation, quotes here, would be to ride the lightning in, updraft, put the aura on, Burning Speed. In this case, I'm going to use Drake's Breath, pop that on, do that, roll away, hit the Earthquake, Churning Earth. I'm going to pop into water, control them. At this point, I'd have my Water Aura on as well, Frost Aura. Maybe if I need to heal, I'll do that. I'll dodge again, pop into there, and I can Lightning Whip a few times. Fires up, do that, carry on. Basically, that's how you play. That is essentially how you play. And obviously, against structures, you're not going to be moving around, but against enemies, you're going to be able to do Burning Speed and such through them, and you're going to be moving around and dodging quite a lot. You're going to have Vigor, which I don't have because I'm not critting against these guys. So you're going to have a lot of dodges, a lot of Vigor, a lot of stuff. It's complex, and you're going to pick this sort of stuff up as you play, which is why I'd recommend starting out with Staff, because it's a slower gameplay style. Moving on to Scepter Dagger, which is slightly faster but not as intense as the Dagger, and then trying out Dagger just to learn what the hell you're doing. You've also got the Focus, don't forget that. Honestly, I haven't even sold on this damn thing. I never use the Focus. There are certain situations where you'd want to, but I've never used it, and that's fine. It's very situational. Now, the biggest thing about the Ellie, when you're leveling, things like structures cause your leveling to be very slow, because you can't crit them, you can't use conditions on them, blah blah blah, all that sort of stuff. Not only that, but you can take advantage of this against regular mobs as well. I'm going to show you Burning Speed here. Now that leaves a trail of fire behind. imagine that trail of fire has 5 sections to it. It's split up into 5 sections. Each one of those sections does a tick of damage every second, right? And the thing lasts for 4 seconds. So you've got 5 sections, each doing damage once every second for 4 seconds. So that's 20 ticks of damage spread out. Now one enemy is only going to be stood in 1 or maybe 2 of those sections at a time. However, if you do it against a wall, they all stack up against each other. So all 4 of those sections, or all 5 of those sections, I've forgotten how many I said there are all stacked on top of each other, and an enemy stood inside that is going to take all that damage very, very quickly. So you see there, demonstrate it again. Oh, if the cooldown. The cooldown's up. It does a blast damage at the end of the burning speed, and it does damage as you're going through them as well. The firewall leaves damage behind. All that stuff piled up on one spot in the world does quite a lot of damage. So I'm going to do it against this practice target, and you're going to see a lot of numbers, hopefully. So I'm going to do that. See all these 78s and that explosion there? All these 78s popping off? That is a huge advantage that you have, and if you can get enemies up against walls and do that, that damage is going to stack a lot. That's one of the main reasons I use Conjure Fiery Greatsword as well. That has a similar skill. I'm not going to cast it right now because it's on long cooldown. I'm going to make sure I get my words out first. Now, a lot of the time I don't need to rely on my elite. The Greatsword I mostly use just to travel around the map. Skill 3 is a whirl like the Warrior Greatsword whirl. It'll send you quite far, a lot further than the Warrior Greatsword whirl will, and it will do damage and cripple your foes. You also have a Rush skill, which is similar to the Burning Speed, and will also go quite a distance. And this one goes 600. The Rush on the Greatsword goes 900, I believe. So you can basically just use those to traverse the map. But you can use the exact same technique that I just used against the practice target with the Fiery Greatsword. So, I'm going to cast it there. What you want to do is de-target things before you do this. So, skill 4, Rush. I'm going to use it right now just to show you the line that it leaves behind. A longer line than normal, right? So you can use skill 3 up against walls as well to do that. Make sure you're not targeting things, so you're not auto-attacking and wasting the charges on this thing, because they're very, very valuable for skill 4. Up against a wall. Look at that damage! Look at how nuts that is! The practice target actually took visible damage from me. If I was to just auto-attack this thing... See, I'm doing quite a bit of damage with the Fiery Greatsword, but there's no visible damage. Skill 4, you want to de-target that and stop auto-attacking. Oh, let's stop auto-attacking there. If I use skill 4 again, look at that damage! That's crazy! So the Fiery Greatsword's awesome, and you also get, well, it just ran out, which is not the best timing. You also get like a little fire AoE storm thing on skill 5, which you can use. You can use all this stuff while moving, and basically it's very powerful. So, that's pretty much it for the Elementalist. Yeah, I said that a bit strangely, didn't I? There's a lot to take in. I didn't mention the heal. Signet of Restoration. I use that, but you can also use Glyph of Elemental Harmony. Don't use Etheridol. Don't use Etheridol, please. You're weird using Etheridol. The Glyph is kinda handy as you're leveling to begin with, because of the boons that you get. Most of the time you're going to be using it in water or earth, but if you're moving around the map, don't be afraid to use it in air to stack up that swiftness. 17 seconds of it right there. But most of the time I use the Signet of Restoration just for the heals on every spell I cast. Because I'm using daggers, I cast a lot of spells, I play it like that. That's how I do. And that's pretty much it for the Ellie. So I hope you learnt something here. I just failed to cast that spell, which is dumb. And good luck in playing your Ellie. I will see you guys next time. Cheerio.